Okay, so here is the orange banana paste tomato. Now, the first year I grew these tomatoes, they grew really good for me. But then every year after that, I had absolutely no luck with it. I must have just got lucky the first year, grew it, and I got like, oh my God, I don't know, 2 dozen, maybe 30 tomatoes off of the first year plant. And I didn't even eat that many of them because I grew so many varieties. I forgot to just save the seeds from them. And most of them just fell, ripened up and fell off the plant, and the bugs got it, and that was the end of that. And I tried to grow it again a couple times after, and I really had no success with it. It gave me a hard time growing. So I don't know if the seeds are old now and it's not viable anymore. I don't know. But in any case, I'm going to get seeds from it this year, and then I'm going to try to concentrate on growing this more next year so I can get a pretty decent harvest sooner or later. Maybe this year, maybe next year, right? But anyway, here, I'll pick this one tomato because I want to get this off of here now. And it's a gorgeous looking pastel tan orange pink color. It's almost flesh toned. It's just an amazing looking tomato. Now this year these tomatoes are looking really. See, this one got a little bit of, I don't know, it looks like a bug bite. That could be a squash bug bit it. And now it's rotting because it put its disease into the tomato. But I'll get seeds from it anyway. But here's another one that's about to ripen. I want to get these off as fast as possible because I do want some of them to ripen fully on here. And it is putting out more flowers, but the flowers are getting absolutely destroyed by the late blight. So I don't think I'm going to get any more tomatoes this year because of the blight situation. The only way I'm going to get rid of the blight is completely kill off the tomato plants, cut them all the way down to the base, maybe 6 inches above the base, and let it put up new shoots. If it doesn't put up new shoots, no more tomatoes. But the blight is just wiping out the tomatoes. I don't know if it's worth doing at all. We're already mid-August. Yeah, I need more than 2 months basically, but I don't know, we'll try anyway. But anyway, this is a regular leaf, but this is the sawtooth type pattern I always talk about. And you can see that the leaf kind of comes over like here, and it kind of drapes down. This particular variety likes to do that. I don't know why, but there is a variety out there that causes the tomato plant to just droop its leaves down like a weeping willow. And it is an indeterminate tomato. And what else is about it? I don't know that much about its history right now. I'll leave whatever I can find in the description, and you can just read about it there. All right, so I'll see you at the bench. Okay, so we're up to the tomato taste test part of the review, and this is, again, the orange banana paste tomato. So in general, a paste tomato is pretty much a tomato that's dry, and they're grown and bred that way so you can make tomato paste out of them. So this isn't supposed to be generally a very juicy tomato, but it probably might be a little juicy because I'm looking at some of them and they look a little juicy. So I don't know much about it. I do know it's a Solanum lycopersicum. I do know that it's a indeterminate tomato, and it's a regular tomato leaf. So that's about all I really know about it. And if I find any information on the internet about it, any kind of historical information or its origin, I will put it down in the description. You can check it, but if not, don't bet on it because there's usually not a lot of information about who the breeder was, where did it originate from. It's very hard to find that information, and most of the time you can't find it anyway. So anyway, let's do our bricks test right out the gate. It's like 7.5, almost 8 on the bricks. So it's a pretty good range, and that doesn't fully mean that it's not going to be sweet. So we'll have to see what it tastes like. But all right, let's take a slice out of it and see how that tastes. The bricks don't lie. It's pretty close to what it said. It's probably, in the sweetness wise, if I were to put it in percentage form, I would probably say the sweetness is probably somewhere around 30%. It's not very sweet. It does have a little bit of a sweet flavor to it. Tanginess was kind of low. I'm going to say that was like probably 27. It wasn't quite tangy at all. I mean, I'll take another bite just to make sure I'm not, you know, maybe off a little bit. Again, the tanginess is a little lower than the sweetness, and if the sweetness is about a 30, tanginess is going to be about a 27. It's a little lower, but there is some tanginess there, and it's pretty pleasant, to be honest with you. The texture of the tomato is nice and smooth, nice and chewy. It's not chalky, it's not creamy. It's a nice texture in your mouth when you eat it. It's got that nice tomato flavor aftertaste to it. As far as moisture goes, it wasn't real moist, but it wasn't real dry either. Like Marzano tomatoes is a paste tomato, and generally those tomatoes are very, very dry for the most part. This isn't anything like that, so it was kind of moist. It is a good eating tomato. I will say you could cut this up and put it in a salad. You'd have no problem, you know, with it being too dry or not tomatoey flavor. You might want to make a salad that you don't want too much of that tomato flavor, but you want to add tomato to it. This would be a nice light flavored tomato. Now it did have a kind of an aftertaste to it. I don't know what it reminded me of. It's a little different. It has its own little fragrant type flavor. I'll eat this other piece and see if I could describe that fragrant flavor. It's hard to describe. It has like a little bit of its own flavor. Very slightly aromatic flavor to it. Very pleasant. I really like the tomato. It's very nice. Skins were a little bit tough, but you got to kind of expect that with paste tomatoes because they're grown and bred for stripping the skins off so you can get the paste out of them relatively pretty easy. So you got to kind of expect that. Also, too, when I was chewing up the skins, there was no tanginess coming out of them. So it's not one of those tomatoes where when you chew on the skins, they're very tart. When you start breaking up the skins, this real tarty essence comes out of them. Nothing like that. This tomato was very smooth, easygoing. Definitely something you could eat with no problem, serve to your guests and things like that. And as far as making a sauce with them, I guess you could. It's relatively a low moisture tomato in general, so you could probably make a pretty good sized sauce, and without a whole lot of cooking to it to get all that moisture out. So I would say, yeah, you could probably make a sauce with it. I'd have to grow it, and I'd need a lot more than what you see here. I'd have to have at least 30 tomatoes for me to even attempt to make a pot of sauce with tomatoes, because you really need a lot of tomatoes. A lot of times stuff goes to waste as you're processing it, so you got to take the shoulders out and all that stuff. So you end up losing a lot more than you think you have. So you really need a lot of tomatoes. But yeah, this is a great tomato. I would definitely, here's a closer look at it. The beautiful pastel orange color to it. Now the first year I grew these, they got really long like a banana. They were really elongated, much more than this, and it was a round end, and they were kind of curved. They looked like an orange banana tomato. It really did. This year, they look like this, more like a plum tomato or, you know, a hollow paste tomato. They really look like that now. When I first grew them, though, they did have like a banana shape to them. So I guess if the plant is really thriving and vigorous, you potentially could get that shape out of them. So unfortunately, I didn't save seeds the first year, but we're going to save seed from this and then offer them on a website. So, all right, so that's it. That's all I can think about with the tomato right now. I'll leave whatever information I find on the internet about it in the description below. You can look that up. And that's it. That's your tomato review for the orange banana paste tomato. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.